Audrey Denney joins us now. She's running in California's 1st District. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks, John. And hi, Brooke. Nice to meet you too.
Hi.
We're glad to have you here. I don't believe that we've spoken before. And although I live in California, it's a big state. I don't honestly know the 1st very well. Could you introduce us to your district?
Oh, John, I would love to. The 1st District, I don't want to brag, but it is hands down the most beautiful district in the state. It encompasses the 11 counties in the northeast corner of the state. So we go all the way up to Siskiyou County and Modoc County. We hit the Oregon border and the Nevada border. We get some beautiful prime farmland in the valley into Hayman County, Butte County, a little bit of Glenn County. And we reach all the way down into Nevada County and a tiny bit of Placer County. So it's the 2nd largest geographical district, but in my humble opinion, the most beautiful.
Sounds great. I'm gonna have to visit at some point. I haven't actually made it up that far north in California yet. Now, what about politically? What demographically, what is it like in terms of the breakdown in that way?
You bet. It is a pretty deep red district. About 40% of our district is registered Republican, about 30% is registered Democrat, and we do have a good chunk of about 25% of no party preference voters in the middle.
Okay, and I could see that possibly growing over time. Now you're going against Doug LaMalfa, that is the Republican. Who is Doug LaMalfa?
Doug LaMalfa is an entrenched incumbent who has held political office since I was in high school. He is a 3-term congressman from our area and hasn't done a lot for the real people who live here in the North State, and primarily is responsive to his largest donors and not the actual real people living here in the 1st District.
Well, that's certainly a theme that we've returned to a lot during these primary elections. Who are some of his larger donors, at least in terms of industry?
Agriculture, development, oil.
Okay, well, not too shocking necessarily. Now you actually, so you mentioned agriculture there. Your background includes, you are a farmer, correct?
Exactly. I grew up on a family farm. I taught agriculture at the university here, and I own a small farming business on the side. But my primary occupation is I'm an educator. And so I work primarily with agricultural nonprofits to help them design learning solutions for their constituencies.
That's awesome. I actually went to the University of Connecticut, which has a huge agriculture program.
Oh, great.
So let's talk about strategy now. So as you've said, politically, it is a deep red state. You've got an incumbent, which comes with the sort of advantages that it comes with. What is your strategy going forward to take him down?
Well, we are bringing together a broad coalition of voters. We're activating the progressive base of the Democratic Party, the Justice Democrat endorsement and the National Our Revolution endorsement kind of attest to that. But we're also reaching a lot of no party preference voters in the middle. A lot of the millennials and the college students that we engage with are no party preference voters. And a lot of my constituents are disenfranchised Republicans who don't feel like their party represents them well. They don't feel like the incumbent is rolling up his sleeves and getting things done for them. So they know that even though we don't agree on all the issues, they're looking for a change and they're looking for better representation. So for me, the first part of the strategy is really building a coalition that there is a win number that's broad enough to draw enough votes, but also to run a really professional campaign. We have 2 offices. We're getting ready to open a 3rd. It's really important in a district that's as big as mine. And we're lucky to already have 9 paid staff and really mobilizing an army of volunteers on the ground to do the field work that we need to do to reach voters in all of our 11 counties. So I think when we're preaching a message of shared common values and really coming out of our partisan corners to get things done and to get Congress moved, hopefully from a place of gridlock to a place of reasonable and honorable compromise to do good work for the people who live in my district, I'm hoping that that will draw a broad amount of voters, and when combined with our professional campaigning, I really hope that we can turn this red seat blue.
So there's a couple things there I'd like to break down. So you talked about what's that?
I just agreed with you and said, yes, let's break it down.
Okay, let's do it. So you talked there about 25% no party preference voters. So as you've been going around the district and you've been talking to these people, what are some of the themes that come up that have led them to be no party preference?
The people that I talk to are so sick and tired of the polarization. And they're sick and tired of feeling the sense of brokenness, even in their families and in their communities. And I feel like in America we've lost the ability to talk about politics in a way that brings people together, and talking about politics in a way that says here's how our government can make life better for our people. And so as part of my campaign, I'm trying to remind folks that politics doesn't have to be this nasty, dirty thing that we've turned it into, that's divisive and hurtful. We can be talking about how we make our communities better and how we might make life better for everyone who lives in them through a political framework. And so that's what I've seen primarily when I'm talking to no party preference voters. And honestly, even a lot of Democrats and Republicans are tired of the divisiveness.
Okay. So let's talk about how we can possibly make things better then. When you're talking to these various candidates, your constituents or potential constituents, what are some of the issues that are coming up repeatedly?
I like to call them my constituents already. I'm planning ahead.
I guess talk for the job you want, not the job you have.
Exactly.
So what do they tend to talk about? What are the issues that they don't necessarily feel Doug LaMalfa is well representing them on?
You bet. So let me paint a picture for you about what life is like in my district. We're really, really rural. We have two big cities, and those are Chico and Redding, and they both have populations of around 100,000 people, and that's the big city. So most of my district is tiny rural towns. And these tiny rural towns used to be thriving and vibrant. They used to have downtowns with local businesses and local elementary schools. But now when you drive through them, businesses are boarded up. There's massive homelessness, massive drug abuse across my district. Schools are shutting down. Hospitals are on the verge of close. And the districts aren't these vibrant places, but they once were. And so the people in my district feel like they have been left behind. They feel like we're this resource-rich part of the state, but the people who live here are poor. And so the biggest common thread amongst my 11 counties is really a lack of economic opportunity. The things that people are most worried about on a day-to-day basis is, can I put food on my family's table? Am I going to be able to keep paying my rent that keeps getting higher and higher? And that's really followed second by healthcare. Not only can I have affordable healthcare, but in this rural area, is there actually healthcare? Are there doctors I can go to without having to drive 3 or 4 hours or go out of state? And really the third biggest thing I hear people talking about is cleaning up the mess in Washington, getting money out of politics, cleaning up the corruption. And that's really what's on the hearts and minds of the people who live here in our beautiful part of the world.
So it sounds like they don't think the swamp has been drained over the past year or so?
They don't.
So as you said, a lot of the district is Republican. Do they tend to be, and you talked about wanting to get some of the viciousness out of politics, and so unfortunately I apologize, but I have to mention Donald Trump. Do they tend to be Trump-style Republicans, or are they more of the sort of, I know that both Democrats and Republicans in the Northwest tend to be a little bit more independent-minded?
Mm-hmm. We do. We have a wide variety of people who live here in the North State, and I'm looking forward to being able to represent every single one of them, not just the people who voted for me. But there is definitely a big base in my constituency that supports and will always support the president. There's a base of disenfranchised Republicans who feel like they're not being represented and feel like they've been left behind both by the president and the incumbent representative that I'm running against. But there is also really a streak of independence up here, and it's really emblematic, made emblematic by the state of Jefferson movement, which I'm sure you've heard about, where there's like a fair chunk of people who live in my district who'd like to be their own state.
Yeah.
And so there's a wide range of people on the right who are more right-leaning, but there's also a wide range of people on the left. And I think there are so many policies and so many things we can do at a federal level to make life better for every single person who lives in our district, regardless of their political persuasion.
I had actually forgotten about Jefferson. That is an amazing, weird component of California politics going back a while. So I have one more question for you. So you're talking about how you're getting your campaign infrastructure geared up. You're doing your hiring, opening new offices, and you mentioned some of your endorsements. Have you received much support yet from the National Democratic Party?
They haven't supported us yet. We're hoping to show everyone that this seat is flippable. When you look at the numbers from outside, it looks like a long shot. But when you get on the ground and you talk to people in this district, people are ready for change. And I believe in my gut and in my heart that the incumbent in this race is more vulnerable than he has ever been. And we are running a more professional campaign than has ever been run in my district. And we're gonna make it happen.
Well, and look, they keep talking about that they expect that there will be some sort of blue wave. And if there's going to, this sounds like exactly the sort of race that this is supposed to make competitive. And so they should probably put their money where their statements about waves are.
Hey, speaking about people's money, my district is the cheapest district in the state, I'm pretty sure, because our media market is so cheap. So your small dollar donations from your amazing viewers go a long way to getting me to Congress. And the first time I went on TYT, there was a flood of donations from across the country. So I just thought I'd throw that out there one more time.
That's a great transition. So why don't we actually mention where people can get more involved? You have a link for donations. And again, remember, huge return in that particular district at tinyurl.com, that's audreyforcongress.com/donate. And volunteers can actually go to audreyforcongress.com/volunteer as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and good luck. Hopefully we'll talk some more.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you.